Welcome to the Dr. Janine Show. I'm Dr. Janine Bowring, naturopathic doctor, and today we're talking all about water. So this is a great topic. We're going to talk about symptoms of not having enough water in your diet, in your daily routine. I'll talk about the best types of water and also tips on how to actually make your water more healthy. So which water is best for your health? Well, these are the questions that I will be answering in today's show. So make sure you're staying tuned right until the end. Of course, we have our quiz section at the end of the show where you will be playing for a free bottle of the Vitatree Magnesium. So the magnesium from our great sponsors at Vitatree is what we're playing for today. So again, when we get to the quiz section, you don't need to answer the questions correctly. You just need to do your best, and one person will be randomly selected from all of the people that are trying to answer the questions and will be sent that prize. So that's very exciting. Also, we will be talking about something that you haven't heard about water. So this is something that I'm sure that you maybe will be learning something very new today about water, so make sure you're staying tuned. If you're new to my channel, welcome in. I am Dr. Janine, naturopathic doctor, and we do this once a week, every Tuesday, and this is the Dr. Janine Show. So if you are new to my channel, please make sure that you subscribe. Also, click that bell to turn on those notifications so you always get my newest and latest uploads. I truly appreciate all of the great feedback that you give me throughout the show. If you do have questions throughout the show, make sure that you are asking away and we will definitely get to those questions. Okay, so let's talk about water. So some of the facts about water. Well, water is more than just H2O. It actually has a charge, and more negatively charged water is actually healthier than more positively charged water. This is something that I wrote about in my first book of the Healthy Millionaire series, and there's something called the ORP, the oxidation reduction potential, and you can actually purchase an ORP monitor to check the charge of your water, which is interesting. And we want to, and when you hear about oxidation and reduction in the health of our cells, when you've probably heard about antioxidants, well, we want to ensure that our water is more negatively charged, and there are ways to charge your water, and that's something that I will be discussing and showing you how to do that today, which makes it a better antioxidant. The other thing that you may not have heard about water, so we learn in school that there are 3 phases of water. This is something it's so fun because I taught my kids this, and of course they go and brag at school about the 4th phase of water, and this is something that was discovered. There's a lot of research and ongoing research on the 4th phase of water. So we know that we have solid, liquid, and gas forms of water, but there's a 4th phase of water, and this is called easy water, and this is where the negative electrons go in water. It's kind of like a jelly substance, and it's really interesting. We wouldn't be able to survive if we didn't have this easy water, and it definitely, when we know that we have structured water, because it actually forms crystals, and crystallized water is something that we're looking for. So this is something that we can see. There has been a lot of research when we look at, I don't think my TikTok people can see the poster down here, but we can see that this is something that was given to me by one of my patients years back, that a lot of research was done on how you can positively affect water to make it more negatively charged to form the crystals. And this is where, in terms of our overall health, this is something that we definitely want. So was a poster given to me by one of my patients, and I love and gratitude. I always have so much gratitude for the fact that Emoto's work is hanging in my office, and that I can, always be reminded of how important it is to have structured water. So let's go through now all of the signs that you are not drinking enough water. So dehydration is a big thing, and most people, this is something studying at the naturopathic college that I really realized that I was not personally drinking enough water. And this is one of the most simple fixes that you can make for your health, is to ensure that you are drinking enough, and of course the right type of water, which we'll get to. So some of the signs that you're not drinking enough water: if you have a dry mouth, also dry skin. Maybe you're seeing that, rashes and things happening, but also wrinkles, and the aging process is happening a little bit more quickly than what you would like. This is something that is really important, that you have that proper hydration. If you get a lot of headaches, so this is something that, again, is very common sign of dehydration, and also your mitochondrial health is not working as well as what it should, and that we'll get to why water and the water that our cells make is even more important than the water that we're actually ingesting. So one of the things that is important is the mineral status of our water as well. So often you've heard me talk a lot about magnesium deficiency. So when we're lacking in certain minerals, this can make us more prone, plus the dehydration aspect can make us more prone to the headaches. So this is one of the reasons why I love to add, after I do these special things to water, which I'll share in this episode, after I do those things and structure my water, I add back in some magnesium to ensure that I'm getting enough. Because as you know, which I've discussed in other episodes, if you missed it, my shows on magnesium deficiency, make sure you check those out here on YouTube. But that has a lot to do with, again, most of us are deficient in magnesium. So getting enough is really important for our overall health. As well as fatigue. So you're tired all the time. I'll come back to this, because being tired and lack of energy is something that definitely you want to ensure that you have enough hydration, because dehydration can cause you to be very tired. Hunger as well. So oftentimes when you feel like you're hungry, it's actually because you're dehydrated. And this is one of the things when you start to drink more water. A lot of people notice this when they go on weight loss types of routines or changes in their lifestyle, that they're encouraged to drink a lot more water. You find that you are less hungry, and that's because of the dehydration now is solved. Joint pain as well. So this is something that, in terms of keeping lubrication in our joints and our active, healthy joint spaces, this is important as well in terms of hydration. And loss of muscle mass. So most of our muscle mass does hold on to water, and when we're dehydrated, we can be losing our muscle mass as well. Constipation and upset in the GI tract, heartburn as well, can be related to dehydration, and acid reflux as well. Bad breath is a common sign, which again, you wouldn't necessarily put that together with dehydration, but a common, sign and symptom of having not enough water in your body. Also lowered immunity, so your immune system. That's one of the things that the doctor usually recommends, or your naturopath recommends. If you do get sick, you're fighting something, to drink a lot of fluids. We hear this all the time. We need that hydration for that proper functioning of our immune system as well. And coming back to overweight, so it's important, and in a study they actually found that just by upping your water intake, so drinking 2 liters a day in this study, helped with weight loss and helped to augment energy expenditure to approximately 400 kilojoules per day. So that's a lot of extra, calories that you can be burning just by upping your water intake. And we'll talk about temperature of water in this episode as well, because you can sort of tweak this. If that's one of your goals is weight loss, you can tweak this with the temperature of your water. So I always get the question, which water is the healthiest to drink? So let's go through. I have a chart. This is out of my first book of the Healthy Millionaire series, and I've updated it a little bit, but this is the information that I did a lot of research on back and talked to different experts in terms of water and types of water, and measuring the electronegativity or positivity of water with the ORP meters, and these were the results and the different pros and cons of the different types of water. So we'll start with a simple tap water. So this really is dependent on where you live as to the safety of your tap water and what, some of those contaminants may be in tap water. One of the pros is that it's very inexpensive for most people. I mean, yes, you do have a water bill, but it is relatively inexpensive and is usually readily accessible. But of course, this depends on where you live in the world and if it has been treated and if it's safe to drink your tap water. Now, one of the cons, of course, a lot of the cons, are the toxins that are present. So I highly encourage you to do this, and I've done this for my own drinking water in our house. We have a system, which we'll get to in just a moment, But I was really curious as to, and I was looking for specific things in our municipal water, just out of curiosity to see what the levels were like. So you can search usually online, your municipality and look for and ask for. If you can't get it from online, then, go to your municipality offices of your city where you live and ask for the water reports, because from what I've learned, that this is something that needs to be done in terms of the safety of what the residents of that city are drinking. So some of the toxins that are definitely present, especially in treated tap water, are chlorine. We know that, and at certain times of the year, I find in the summer, I find that smell is quite strong. I have not yet tested my water specifically in the summer, but it's perceivable, the amount of chlorine in the tap water, as well as lead and other heavy metals, so things like mercury, which is very concerning. We know that heavy metal toxicity has a lot to do with our health or ill health. Different bacteria, of course, parasites, which I'm all about parasites, and parasites is trending right now. So you're going to see a lot more content about parasites in the coming weeks from me, because people really need to make themselves aware as to what you can do naturally and from a preventative standpoint to deal with these parasites. Benzenes, as well as xenoestrogens. So these are the toxic estrogens that mimic, they look like the estrogen in our body, but they're the toxic estrogens, and they have a negative impact on both men and women. So this is really important to know that, yes, you could be ingesting these in your tap water, as well as other heavy metals, cesium. Fluoride is a big one. So if you live in an area where the water is fluoridated, this is a big problem. I did a whole show all about fluoride toxicity, so make sure you check that out. Different medications are unfortunately, in the tap water as well. Microplastics, this is a sort of a newer thing that's being evaluated now in terms of toxicity in our water. And typically, tap water is more positively charged, so not as healthy as, some of the other types of water, which we'll talk about, which are more negatively charged and have more of that antioxidant effect. So yes, that was tap water. We're going to get to spring water in just a moment. I want to say hello to, on Facebook, Arletta, Melanie, and Antonetta are here. Hello, nice to see you. Thank you for tuning in today. I know I have a lot of people. Francis, hello, nice to see you. Great to have you here. And Melbert is here. Hello, Melbert. It's great to have you here. Some of my regulars are here for the show, so thank you for tuning in. Okay, so now let's talk about spring water. So spring or mineral water, of course, comes from the ground. It's one of the advantages is that it is readily accessible for most people if you live in an area where you can have access to spring water. One of the other great advantages is that naturally occurring minerals are present in the water, which is great. So things like magnesium, calcium are in there, and that's really important for our overall health. Some of the cons is that when it is bottled, so if you purchase a spring water bottled, which most people do, it's not necessarily fresh. So it's been evaluated after just 2 weeks of sitting in a bottle, and hopefully not it's plastic bottles, but usually it's going to be plastic, that it can start to harbor bacteria after just 2 weeks. So the freshness of bottled water is questionable. It can be very expensive as well. So, there's hundreds of different types of water from different parts of the world, and the higher quality ones from these more pristine environments can be very expensive. Another type of water is the carbon filtered water. So often people have these pitchers that they either have in their fridge system or the pitchers that they put into their refrigerator, and you are now filtering your tap water. Some of the advantages is that it will remove the VOCs, the volatile organic compounds, and some of the pesticide residues, so that's a great thing. But some of the cons is that these filters do collect bacteria, and years ago in some countries, I know in Germany, they actually banned these filters because of the collection. So what would happen is that you could use it successfully for a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden on one dump or filtering session of your tap water, it would dump all of those bacteria into your water unbeknownst to you, and then you're drinking all of these bacteria. The other con of the pitchers or the carbon filters is that they don't remove the fluoride. So if you live in a fluoridated area, it's not going to remove the fluoride from the water. Also, medications get through and parasites get through as well. So it's not always the best way to go. There's different quality carbon filters, but usually, in my opinion, it's not enough in terms of, getting out some of these contaminants. Now, reverse osmosis. This is the system that we have in our home. This removes heavy metals, which is great, as well as the fluoride. It, for most people, is cost effective. Yes, you do have to service and replace the filters, depending on how much water you're drinking and how many people in your home. So this, there is a cost certainly associated with it, but I use it for my cooking as well. So in my own personal life, this is definitely something that is effective for my family and for myself. Now, one of the cons is that it can lack the minerals. So that's why actually we've added a remineralizer to our RO system. That is something that you can do and certainly investigate that. Now, one of the things is that the RO water is not charged. So it's not structured water, and this is one of the disadvantages. So we're going to talk about how I structure my water in just a second. I'll show you my tips and my tricks on how to do that to make the drinking water that I have more healthy. As well, now let's talk about a different type of water, which is distilled water. I get a lot of questions about distilled water. One of the advantages is that it does remove the lead and the radon, as well as different salts. So everything is basically removed when you have distilled water, and the heavy metal contamination as well. But the disadvantage of this, because everything is removed, is that there's no minerals left, and again, it's uncharged. So it's, a lot of people call distilled water dead water. So there are some times and places that you would use this, but for the most part, it's not something that I recommend. Okay, another type of water is called DDW, deuterium depleted water. So I'm going to go a little bit into deuterium, explain what that is. One, and just some of the basics, one of the advantages is that it's been linked to health and it has a lot of longevity benefits. I'll explain some of those mechanisms and you'll appreciate that in just a moment. One of the big disadvantages, if you're purchasing it, is that it is super, super expensive. So if you look at the pricing of deuterium depleted water, it's only made in a few facilities in the world. It is super expensive. So if you're just tuning in today, I'm Dr. Janine Bowring, and I'm talking about which water is best for your health. I promise I'm going to come back to the deuterium thing in a moment, because I'm sure a lot of you have not even heard of what deuterium is, and I'll explain that. I'm streaming live on YouTube. This show will live on YouTube after the fact, but please stay on TikTok and on Instagram. I'll be coming back to you with all of your questions after the show. I hope that you're loving this. Even if you have questions throughout the show, please do type them in on Facebook as well and on YouTube. I have my team behind the scenes. They're helping me, and they will feed me the questions as well. If I can get to them during the show, I will definitely answer your question. Okay, so I get a lot of questions again about alkaline water. So why you should not drink alkaline water. This is Dr. Janine's advice, what I'll be talking about in terms of maybe you don't necessarily need to go in the direction of drinking alkaline water, or specifically alkalinized water. And most water that's naturally occurring is slightly alkaline, and this is due to the minerals that are present. So whether it's spring water or glacial water, the minerals from the earth or the rocks that it's passing over is naturally occurring in the water, and this is something that usually it will be slightly alkaline for that reason. Now, it can be artificially made. So when you go to the health food store or to the store and you're purchasing sometimes very expensive alkaline water thinking it's better for your health, it's usually artificially made, and it's using electricity, and it's an electrolysis ionizer technology, which is adding that voltage to the water. So the question is, okay, is this really that healthy for you? And is there, the extreme advantage of with going with the price tag of the alkalinized water to really help with your health. And the debate is still out there. There's not a lot of research done on this because your body will always make up that difference. Your kidneys will always be adjusting for homeostasis. Your kidneys will always adjust your pH so that you can survive. So drinking the alkaline water doesn't necessarily have that alkalinizing effect on your blood pH, and so quite likely you're wasting your money on this. So this is something that a lot of people haven't heard about. And there is one study though that I want to say that it can help to alter your stomach pH. So for people who do have acid reflux, in this study it showed the potential benefits of a high alkaline water, so 8.8, drinking water, and as an adjunct in the treatment of reflux disease. So what it does is it denatured the pepsin, rendering it permanently inactive. So it's interesting. So it could be, something as a spot treatment to help with acid reflux, to be able to alkalinize, in terms of the stomach acid and shut down the pepsin in the stomach. But again, this is something that you're working with your practitioner on, and especially if you're medicated, and these are things that you would definitely need to investigate further. But drinking alkaline water just for health reasons, thinking it's going to make you healthier, maybe not always the best investment that you're making. Okay, so another question that I get often, is it better to drink hot or cold water? So it really does depend on what your goals are for your health. So studies have shown that, cold exposure, and if you're trying to change your body composition, you're trying to maximize your mitochondrial health, you're trying to lose some weight, you're trying to fix your leptin resistance, that the cold water can actually be more beneficial. And in this study, it was found that drinking cold water while using ice packs, which is something that I've done. I didn't even know that this study was around. This is something that I've experimented with my own health, and I find it very, very helpful to use the ice packs and cold exposure. You get very cold and you drink cold water. But in this study, they actually studied it, and they found that there was an over 20% increase in fat use as the fuel source. So I'm talking body fat, as was observed, along with 67% increase in EE. So this is something that is really important to know, that if that is one of your goals for your health, to burn some excess body fat, to use the ice cold water and ice packs on your body. Another thing that was studied was in children, so children in terms of weight loss, and they found that cold water was very, helpful in the resting energy expenditure. So this study demonstrated an increase of up to 25% in that REE following the drinking of just 10 milliliters per kilogram of cold water in overweight children, lasting for over 40 minutes. So interesting to note that these, advantages of drinking cold water in the research shows this. Okay. Aisha said, great topic. Thank you on Facebook. What about built-in water dispensers in the fridge? So typically these are the carbon base, so similar to the pitchers, excuse me, that we put in. It's so ironic that I need to drink more water during the water show. Isn't this funny? I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to show you my structured water in just a second. That's the one I should be drinking more of. But anyways, I had to show you the Dr. Janine mug. So Aisha, the water dispensers in the fridge are usually the carbon filtered. So similar to the pitchers that you put in the fridge. So they would be in the category of, the carbon filters. That's a great question though. So they'll do some, as I discussed, they will filter some of the contaminants, but not the fluoride, and that's the disadvantage of the carbon filter. Okay, so talking about now temperature, often it's a personal preference. So depending on where you live, what season it is, certainly in our cold Canadian winters, sometimes it's much more comforting to have a hot cup of water, hot tea, to help with, regulating our body temperature. Now, the more I learn about cold exposure, maybe this isn't the best thing to be doing in terms of body composition and our mitochondrial health. So embracing the cold is something definitely that can be very helpful. But drinking in terms of different cultures, drinking hot tea or warm tea, this is why often in some cultures, especially in traditional Chinese medicine, it's very customary to drink hot tea after dinner in terms of helping with digestion. So that's something that you can definitely, experiment with. And I always say you've got to be comfortable. You've got to love what you're doing. If something is, but often at the same time, some of the things that are uncomfortable for us are the things that we need in terms of exercise, in terms of cold exposure, and that's exactly what we need. So you've got to find that happy medium as to what will help you and what will definitely be comfortable for you. So again, which bottled water now is best for your health? Another question that I get very often. So if you're going to purchase, water, and I'm not going to go through brands as to which would be preferable one over the other, but you definitely, if you are purchasing water and bottled water, preferably in a glass bottle, this is something that definitely you want to purchase in glass, you want to drink in glass. So, trying to minimize your plastic exposure definitely is something that is important. Also, making sure that there are some natural minerals present within the water. Definitely no fluoride, so you want to look for the fluoride content in the water and, trying to limit your exposure. If you missed my show on fluoride toxicity, make sure you check it out. But you can learn a lot, all the reasons why you don't want to be consuming fluoride, because definitely this shuts down your thyroid gland, it affects your metabolism, amongst other things. Now, in terms of the deuterium, which I'm going to explain what deuterium is, but the deuterium is definitely lowered in certain parts of the globe. So more inland, you're going to find lower deuterium, which is what you want. The mountain water and glacial water has lower deuterium, and of course the more north you go, or the furthest south. So it has been said that Antarctic water is very healthy, but again, it's difficult to get and hard to harvest. So these are the different types of water. Okay, so now let's talk about deuterium. So what is deuterium? Deuterium, we know that water, so regular run-of-the-mill water, is H2O, 1 hydrogen and 2 oxygen molecules. Now, hydrogen can be a little bit different. So it only has 1 proton and no neutron. But deuterium in water is called heavy water because it has an extra neutron. So it has a proton and a neutron in the nucleus of the atom, and that's what makes it heavier. So the weight of water is about 18, and the molecular weight of deuterium is 20. So it's heavy water, and it has different properties in nature, and you'll understand. It all sort of makes sense when you understand this. Hello to Marie on Facebook, and hello to, on YouTube, Curiosity75, and has a question. Okay, so some ancient teachings claim that simply shaking water can charge it, and that placing distilled water under direct sunlight for at least an hour remineralizes it. Wondering what you think of that. I don't believe you can remineralize distilled water once the minerals are gone, but shaking definitely is an option, absolutely. Sunlight is the key though, so putting the water in the sun, even if it's in an open window sill or, not glass, not behind glass, in terms of, standard building glass, because that will allow too much of the blue light in, unfortunately. And I usually try to sort of vent so to have it a little bit, you got to watch for bugs, of course, but have it somewhat open so that, that natural, the photoelectric effect of the water is going into the water, if that makes sense. Okay, so those are my hacks. But we'll get to the tips in just a moment, how, all the different things that you can do, but that's a great question. Curiosity75, I like your handle name, that's awesome. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Janine, this is the Dr. Janine Show. We're talking about which water is best for your health. We're streaming live on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, and on TikTok as well. So a little bit more about deuterium. So can you drink heavy water? Is it safe? Well, this is something that definitely is debatable. I probably, now that I know more and more about deuterium, I try to limit and decrease that deuterium content. And just as, there's so many parts per million of deuterium, which is something that we'll talk about in our deuterium show with our expert, but, 155 parts per million is what usual seawater is of deuterium. And in different parts of the world, there's lesser amounts of deuterium in the water as it's naturally occurring. So that's definitely healthier. And deuterium, unfortunately, because of that property of being heavy, can cause DNA mutations. So this is where, in terms of health consequences, it's very important that we actually pay attention to this. And deuterium can slow down enzyme function, slows down our DNA replication. It can cause errors in transcription, and it can slow down DNA repair. So the actual repair mechanisms in our cells can be hindered because of this deuterium presence in our environment, in our water. Also in the foods that we eat. So some foods are higher in deuterium and some foods are much lower in deuterium. So that's interesting as well, but I'm going to save that for the deuterium show. And that's why it becomes so much more important what we're actually eating on a daily basis in terms of deuterium content as well. And it affects our mitochondria. So there's something called this nanomotor in our mitochondria. So this is, maybe we'll take a look at the motor. Here we can see it. And it's called ATP synthase complex. And this is really important in terms of how our cells work. This is part of longevity. This is part of staying young, staying healthy. Most of our modern diseases are mitochondrial diseases. People reacting to certain viruses do well or don't do well depending on the state of their mitochondrial health. So this is very much at the forefront of people who are in the know about how our cells and our bodies actually work, either would do or not do certain things based on their mitochondrial health to help with their immune function and staying healthy. And not to mention looking young and beautiful as you age, which is fantastic as well. Now this nanomotor is what creates the energy, the ATP, ATP synthase, making ATP, the energy in our cells. And it spins at 9,000 revolutions per minute. And each mitochondria has a whopping 32,000 nanomotors. So, and each cell of our body has thousands of mitochondria. So you can see the importance of this little motor in our body, in our mitochondria. Now, what will gum up this motor and not allow it to rotate and to move those hydrogen atoms? Unfortunately, deuterium. So deuterium will mess up that motor. It won't be able to spin as it should. And so this is where, when people are tired, you've got lack of energy. That's because your motors aren't running on all cylinders. It can't function, and deuterium could be part of that programming that is not working as it should. So this is why deuterium is so important. That's why researchers have really now paid attention to deuterium and what deuterium depleted water, so less deuterium in the water, has been found now in science to help with cancer. So specifically breast cancer, studies have been done on breast cancer, prostate cancer as well, helps with metabolic syndrome, which you know is really important in terms of balancing our blood glucose levels. Also, deuterium depleted water has been shown to protect against different pollutants, as well as toxic load, heavy metal toxins, radiation toxicity as well. They've done studies on athletes, so helping with athletic performance, and also with anti-aging, and of course longevity as well. So I promise we will talk a lot more about deuterium. That's just a little taste about it, you know, so that you learn and hopefully do these hacks. And now I'm going to get to the 9 tips on how to drink the healthiest water, but you know, little tidbits that you can take to really make your life a little bit healthier, and to help, especially if you're not feeling well, or if you do have one of, you know, the modern diseases due to mitochondrial health not being where it should be. Deuterium is a big aspect of that. Okay, so the 9 tips on how to drink the healthiest water. Tip number 1 is to start with the best quality water that is, you know, attainable by yourself, that you can afford. So whether that's reverse osmosis, whether that's the spring water. Tip number 2, make sure it's in glass. So if you are purchasing it, make sure it is in glass, and when you drink it, make sure it is in a glass. That's very important. Tip number 3 is to swirl it. So just like the question that we had, swirl it, shake it, get some of that vortex going. That helps to energize and charge the water as well. Tip number 4 is to freeze it, just like I did. So put your best quality water that you can afford into some glass containers in your freezer. You'll see that deuterium, the heavier water, will be on top. It will freeze first, and you can probably see that really well here. I'm glad that this worked out for today because, again, and you've got to watch this because I've left my water too long in the freezer and the whole thing went solid. I'm like, oh, I missed my opportunity. But then as it was melting, then I used what was melting first. So that's what, one of those things that, yeah, it wasn't totally lost. But yes, you want to, this is ideally how you're going to do it. You're going to remove, so what I do is I pierce that water, pour it out, and then use that deuterium depleted water into a glass vessel. And I put it in the sunlight, which is tip number 5. So letting it sit out in the sun for as long as possible will help to charge the water. And this is something that I love to do with the kids. I'll put some lemons in there. I'll make a natural sugar-free lemonade for them, and it's delicious. And it's so refreshing because it's actually quenching that thirst because of the property of the water that's been charged. Tip number 6 is to use other things like magnets and crystals to actually energize and make that structured water as well. So you don't have to do this. You could put your glass over, some in a bowl with some crystals. You don't have to get the special water bottle, but a great way to, again, energize the water and to structure the water. And this has actually been studied. So tip number 7 is to play classical music. So one of the main major researcher, Masaru Emoto, who, of course, I have the beautiful picture that was given to me as a gift. This was part of his research, was structuring water, and where he found that unstructured water was very disordered, but he found that by playing classical music, that he was able to structure the water just by doing that. So that's something that, again, it's all about your vibes, the environment, the energy around the food, around our water really does have an impact on our health, and that's been studied in the literature in terms of structuring water as well. Tip number 8 is to make it more palatable. So whatever you need to do, whether that's adding fruit, adding cucumber slices, adding flavor, a natural flavor, of course, hopefully without sugar, without artificial sweeteners. There are different drops that you can use that are stevia or monk fruit sweetened. I like to do the lemon. Not everybody likes to drink just plain water, but I find if you structure the water, it's so much easier, more thirst quenching to drink, even if you don't like, to have plain water. So that's something that you can definitely experiment with. And tip number 9 is to definitely have that good energy. So whether it's prayer, meditation that you're doing, for your water to help to structure it, that will definitely have a positive impact on your health as well. So there you have it, the 9 tips on how to drink the healthiest water. I hope that you'll use these tips. I want to hear back from you, so please make sure that you put it in the comments, in the comment section of the video, and let me know how that's going for you. Okay, some questions on Facebook. Arletta is asking, how about boiling tap water, cooling it, and putting it into the fridge and then drinking it? Yes, so boiling it will deal with some of the sort of bacteria, maybe the parasites. It's not going to remove the chlorine usually. It's not going to remove the fluoride if you drink fluoridated water. And the heavy metals, unfortunately, they're still going to be present. So it's probably better than the tap water straight out. I would probably, if you have to do that, and it depends where you live as well, you want to put, again, in the freezer if you can, to remove the deuterium from the top. That's a great question, Arletta. Thank you. Kat, hi, Kat. How are you? I haven't, Kat, I haven't seen you in a while. Okay, can you freeze bottled water? Never in plastic. No, never in plastic. Those microplastics go directly into the water, so never in plastic. You don't want to do that. It's very, very toxic. As is letting a plastic water bottle sit in your car. That plastic will leach, and it's actually worse to have if it's a plastic water bottle in terms of the plastics leaching and other toxins as well, leaching into the water. It's worse to put in the freezer than it is in a hot environment, believe it or not, but equally as bad. So yeah, you don't want to do that. Put it in glass if you can, and make sure it's fresh. So wherever you're purchasing your water from, if you have to purchase it in plastic bottles, to make sure that it is fresh, but try to get glass if you can, or put a system in your house of the reverse osmosis. It makes a big difference for your health. Okay, Instagram has a question, yes? Daniela wants to know about oxygenated water. So yeah, I mean, that's something, again, it can be very expensive. Whether you can actually increase the oxygen is questionable. I would want to test it for deuterium, so do the freezing test and see how much, deuterium you're able to remove, how quickly it's freezing. And yeah, I mean, in my opinion, I think it may be a little bit probably oversold in terms of marketing in the oxygenation in water. And it depends how the oxygen got into the water, how it was ozonated, and yeah, there's a lot of ifs. I'd have to look at the specifics of that, that brand to give a better answer, but the fast answer is it's probably not what it's cracked up to be. Okay, so let's get to our quiz questions now. So remember that for everybody on Instagram and on TikTok, you didn't see this before, but this is what we are playing for. So the magnesium, just do your best to answer questions. You don't need to be perfect in your answering, just attempt. Thank you so much to answer the questions as we go through, and we will go through our section now. Okay, are we ready? I got everybody. So I have my Facebook, my YouTube, and my TikTok, and I'm going to have Instagram in my ear. So you got to be quick. This is lots of great questions. One of them is a little bit tricky. Okay. Question number 1, are we ready, everybody? So just do your best. If you're new to my show, just do your best. Just try to answer the questions. If you haven't seen my content from last week, then you'll be a little bit behind, but it's okay. That's why it's good to study last week's episode to know where the questions are coming from. But let's give it a try. Just do your best. Okay, true or false? Number 1, glyphosate is a toxic herbicide linked to cancer. True or false? Glyphosate is a toxic herbicide linked to cancer. This one's quite easy. TikTok has it, yes. Arletta, good. Aisha, of course, you're very quick. Instagram has it. TikTok, you have it. Chelsea, good job. Steve is good. Christian, hello, hello. Lots of my regulars are here. Raina's here too. Hi, hi, hi. Medical skincare, nice to see you. Good job. Red Roses, good job. Everybody's very quick. Instagram, Curiosity75 has it as well. On YouTube, Nadia, on Instagram, good job, good job, good job. So many smart people here today. Elisa on Instagram as well, good job. Okay, so the answer is Kat, you got it as well. I think I mentioned everybody I saw. Everybody's very quick. Red Roses, good job. I think I said your name already. Hello, hello. If you're just tuning in, this is the quiz section of my show, everyone. So do your best to answer the questions. We're playing for prizes here. Okay. So the answer is true. Yes, this was last week's topic, glyphosate toxicity. So yes, it is a toxic herbicide linked to cancer. Absolutely. Okay, question number 2. What is the name of the channel that opens up too much with glyphosate toxicity? This one's tough. But if you know my content, you know this answer. What is the name of the channel? I'll give you a hint in a second. That opens up too much with glyphosate toxicity. Jonathan. Thanks for joining. This is the Dr. Janine Show. We're in our quiz section. What is this one is, it's tricky. Rumpelschlager. Lisa. Thanks for joining in. This is the Dr. Janine Show. We're in the quiz section of the show. Okay, what is the name of the channel that opens up too much with glyphosate toxicity? I'll give you a hint. It's similar to what happens with EMF toxicity. Too many EMFs that come into our environment. Reina, yeah, Reina's doing this. It's a channel. Has to do with calcium. Melbird has it? Melbird. Melbird. You're so smart. Oh my goodness. Okay, Aisha, that's good. You're thinking of the shikimic, yeah. Good idea, but not what I was looking for. But that's a very intelligent stab at it. Aisha, wow, good job. Calcium, yes, Curiosity 75. You're pretty close. I'm specifically looking for official Christian. Yeah. I hope you didn't look at Malbird's answer. Raina, yeah, exactly. Congrats, Malbird. Okay, so I will let you know it's the VGCC, so the voltage-gated calcium channels. They do open up, which is not a good thing. That means too much calcium floods into your cells with glyphosate toxicity. So this is one of the reasons, if you miss my show on glyphosate, make sure you go and check it out on YouTube, all the reasons that we need to limit glyphosate in our lives, because we have a lot of EMF toxicity, which usually, most times we're not able to control that much of. Although I do have a show on EMFs on how to, mitigate your risks against EMFs, so that's important to watch that show as well on YouTube. But also, making sure that we are limiting our glyphosate toxicity. Okay, question number 3. Name 2 GMO foods that are known to be high in glyphosate. Name 2 GMO foods that are known to be high in glyphosate. Melbird, yes, you do listen and you do take notes. I'm very proud of my students. It's very good. Christian, wow, good job. That was very fast. Malbird, very fast. Good. That was a good guess, Christian. Anybody else have it? On YouTube, on Facebook? 2 GMO foods that are notoriously high in glyphosate. That's why all the health gurus say not to eat some of these things. Yes, Reina, good job. Aisha, good job. Yep. Very good. Anybody else? So definitely if you consume these foods, you want to make sure that they're non-GMO. Or just avoid them altogether, like I do. Yep. Nadia, you're right as well. On Instagram, good job. Yeah, Curiosity 75, good job. Reina, I love quiz sections. I think it's fun. I think it's a great way to, and it's a great reminder too of what we've been through before in terms of the content. So that's fantastic. Francis, you're working. Okay, you missed question number 3. 2 GMO foods that are known to be high in glyphosate. Almonds and beets. Good answers. And that was Elisa? Yeah, good job. Okay, so some of the examples are corn. There's a number, of course, of fruits and vegetables as well, but these are the ones that are usually highest on the list. So corn, canola, sugar, wheat, soy, so anything soy related, soybean oil. These are the big ones to look for to make sure that they're, Christian, it can be hard to find the non-GMO corn. It depends where you live as well. There is some available, but even if it's non-GMO, the runoff of glyphosate is still an issue. So, that's why some of these food groups, maybe it's sometimes better just to avoid, depending on your health and what you're going through and your detox mechanisms and your redox potential and how well your cells are working. I didn't hear that, sorry. Yeah. Okay, question number 4. True or false? Non-organic almonds are prone to glyphosate toxicity. True or false? Non-organic almonds are prone to glyphosate toxicity. Anybody? True or false? This one's easy. Christian, yep. Albert, good. Francis, good job. Anybody else? Reina, good job. Arletta, good try. Kat, good try. Aisha, good job. Yes, so the answer is, Instagram has it as well. The answer is true. Yeah. So almonds, you have to be careful. That means almond milk. Make sure it's organic, non-GMO. Can have some glyphosate toxicity. So that's important to know. Okay, last question. Question number 5. What supplement can be taken to detox glyphosate? What supplement or supplements can be taken to detox glyphosate? Very, very important. And if you're just, new to our channel, make sure that you're subscribed so that we can reach out to our winners. We have a hard time finding you if you're not following me, and follow Team Dr. Janine on TikTok. That's important. But yeah, make sure you're a follower to be able to on Instagram. Team Dr. Janine on Instagram as well. Make sure you're following those so that we can reach out to you if you are one of our lucky winners. Yeah. Okay. Arletta, good job on Facebook. TikTok has it as well. Aisha, good job. TikTok has it, definitely. Yep. Ooh, Melbourne, good job. Good job, Francis, as well. Nice. Okay, so some of the answers are, we got to wrap it up though, this show's almost done. Okay, full body detox, which I'm all about doing that at least 3-4 times a year. Magnesium bisglycinate, so that glycine component with 2 glycines is very important in terms of being able to help to, take out that glyphosate. Grass-fed products, so whether that's collagen, grass-fed dairy and beef is important as well in your diet. And probiotics is important as well. So that was a great show. Thank you so much for everybody who tuned in. Today we talked about water and which water is best for your health. If you do have questions or comments, please continue to put them in the comment section below the video. You can refer back to this video at any time, and really do your best to share this information with people that need to know it. And a lot of, I get so many questions about water, and I gave you some great hacks today as to how to improve the quality of water. No matter what water you are drinking, you can still improve the quality of it, and by charging it and doing some of the tips that we talked about. So if you just tuned in now, go back to the tips in this video and you'll learn all the tips on how to drink the healthiest water. If you did learn something new, you love this video, you love my content, please give me a big thumbs up. I truly appreciate it. And all those fun things you can send me on TikTok, I love those as well. If you're new to my channel, welcome in. I hope that you'll subscribe and also click that bell to turn on your notifications so you're always notified of my newest and latest uploads, which happens every single day of the week. And remember to always take good care of your health and do it naturally. Thanks for watching today.